Come along with me while we beat up a 1951 Chevy Fleetline. Hey everybody, it's Kenny Conklin from HobbyLinkInternational.com and welcome to another YouTube video. So today we're going to beat up a 1951 Chevy Fleetline. That's right, we're going to beat it up a little bit and we're going to put this in a diorama. We're not going to go with some fancy paint job or anything like that. She's going to become a junker. So let's get right over to what I'm doing with the car right now. We're going to be changing up plans with the 1951 Chevy Fleetline. It's not that great of a kit and I already started cutting open the doors, and that's what we're going to continue to do now. I found one of the better ways to cut the doors open is use the back of the blade because it actually pulls more plastic out, and then finish it off with the sharp front end of the blade. One of the hardest and time-consuming places on the door is to do this hump right here because the plastic is much thicker than down the seams over here. You can see using the back of the tip, you pull out more plastic than you do just cutting straight down with the blade. The final part of the car door is the curve. We're going to be very careful because the piece of plastic here is very thin now from cutting over here, so we don't want the fender to fall off. With a little patience, a sharp knife, and about 30 minutes, you can have your door out too. After the door is out, just a little sanding to clean up the edges, and you'll be good to go. Now that we have a door completely out, we're going to do the same process on the trunk and open that up. It's inevitable not to slip with the knife once in a while, so I did slip. I gouged it over here. Immediately after you slip and make a gouge, sand it down, get rid of that gouge so your blade follows this line. Otherwise it's going to come down and follow that line and you're going to keep gouging it out. And the next thing we took out was the trunk lid. This took about 45 minutes to an hour to get out and clean up properly. And then we have the trunk here, which we're going to end up making it a little ajar when we put this car back together. And after cleaning up the edges with sandpaper or my sanding sticks, I like to run a bead of Plastruct Bondine around just to clean up those stray edges. I wasn't going to do it, but I figured why not? We'll pull off the last panel, the fuel filler door, and then we'll scratch build the fuel filler behind the door. And this will be the last panel I take off panel-wise, and then we're going to do some more stuff. So let me get this off, and then I'll show you the result. We got our last hole out. Because of the size of the hole, I had to use the metal files in there. I couldn't get the sanding sticks in there at all. We cleaned it up, and now because of the burrs on the side, we're going to do like we did before and just use the Plastruct Bondine, put a coat around there, and it'll take care of those burrs. And we're going to do the same thing with the little door here. Now that we have the fuel filler door, I just scratch built a little box in there out of just regular sheet styrene. I didn't have good reference on this, so I just made a box, and then we're going to put a little tube in here. Using some evergreen styrene tubing, we just cut a little tube, we popped it in there, and now we have a gas filler. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to try to remove the chrome that was messed up with the kit to begin with. I just applied 2 pieces of blue painter tape. This way it marks off the exact location of that chrome. I'll take it down, plus when I'm sanding it doesn't mess things up too much. Then I'm going to take my pin vise, I'm going to add holes in there to make it look like the attachment points where the chrome has fallen off. And here's the result after taking off the trim and adding our holes. We're going to do the same thing on this side. We're going to take off this trim, we're going to tape it, and then we'll put holes here, and then we'll move into the next step of the process. Okay, we're all taped up, ready to go. We're going to take off this piece here. Like I said before, we're just going to sand it all down smooth, and then we're going to put our holes in. Eventually this is going to feel flat, but you still may have to do some cleanup after you take the tape off, depending on the thickness of the piece you're taking off plus the thickness of the tape here. So it may be a little bit, but you'll save a lot of scratches later on. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my X-Acto knife and I'm going to plot out the holes with just little divots in here to give the drill something to bite onto. Then we're just going to take our pin vise, hit those little marks we put in, give it a little spin. And make our hole. We don't have to go all the way through, we just need the presence of the hole so it looks like the chrome molding was holding on. As you can see, there's still a little lip here. It's very thin. If you wanted to, you can leave this as the back gasket of the chrome and just paint it black. I'm gonna take this all the way down and then it'll be flat and we'll just have the holes left here. My holes didn't come out perfect, but once this is gone, you're not even gonna notice that. After the trim was removed, everything was sanded down and the holes placed in. This is what you should have once it's done. It should look like the chrome fell off and it's just left with the attachment points from where it was on the car before. We're going to start thinning out the plastic on the inside of the car. We're going to be using our Dremel or whatever rotary tool you use. I'll also be using the little ball head bit to do this. And we're going to do it from the inside of the car, not the outside of the car. You could look at some reference photos or you could just take a guess as to where you want that rust to be eating through the car. So I'm just going to pick a spot on the inside and I'm going to start just doing a random pattern and not go all the way through. Just get it very, very thin. So I used a Dremel, I got it really, really thin, and then I used my little poking tool. This is actually a sculpting tool for clay, but I used it and from the inside I started poking out the really thin plastic to give it this jagged edge. You can make it a clean one if you want, like all the metal fell out, or you can actually just leave it like this. This I'm gonna leave like with the rough edges there. There's a couple spots that I may do with it clean where it just fell out, and then in some places I just may make it a little bit thin so you can see the metal is starting to wear. So I'm going to do some more of this and I'll show you when I'm done. I didn't go crazy with the rust effects. I popped a few that were straight through with no bits and bobs in there, and then I did a few down here that still have tags falling off like the car is falling apart, and then I did one more over here and it's all, if you can see that, all ripply over here instead of a straight through. I don't want a lot of holes in this. I want the next step of painting to show more of the rust than the rust holes. So that's it for this part of the build on the Fleetline. Up next, we're going to work on the chassis and engine, get that all together, and we'll go through that process. And this will probably be like another 4 or 5 videos, and we'll get everything done. I'll give you a little hint. It is going to be a diorama. So if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. It helps spread to other people on YouTube. And also, if you haven't yet, come over to the community, join up, show us your builds and all that other good stuff. We'd love to have you with us and help the community grow. So everybody, make sure you're staying safe out there. Have a great night. Take care. And bye-bye.